Welcome to this episode of Misadventures with
Kiki.
You said it too quickly. Welcome to this episode of
Kiki.
Misadventures with Kiki and Cowboy. So yeah, we're already off to a great start. So today we're going to talk about something new and interesting. What is it, Kiki?
That's a great question.
Excellent lead in, right? The suspense is already killing our listeners.
Absolutely.
They're literally dying. We can talk about a proposed trip to England.
Oh.
We can do that. So we just got a call
from one of our
favorite listeners.
Number one fans.
Who are of our 4 now subscribers on YouTube.
They're related to us, so that helps.
Yeah, it's not Mom.
And it helps us.
Yeah, and it helps. So it appears that so stay tuned. If you're here, I want to say that'll be easily
a year from now.
Yeah, 50-something episodes later.
You only have 50 more episodes to listen to.
And we are starting a Patreon, and we need money. So please buy us coffee. Do whatever.
Pay for us to take a trip.
Pay for us to take a trip because it will only create more episodes, people. You want to talk about misadventures? What happens when Kiki and Cowboy take this stuff on the road? Or the, what do they say in England? What do they call the road? Probably the road.
I was going to say, I don't know.
It's the lane. What are they called? Don't they call the road something different in England? Let's see what else. Let's see. I'm gonna use the Google Translator for
the motorway.
How do you say road in English? English. It immediately came up with the Spanish translation for some reason.
Oh, that's very good.
Camino.
Glad to hear that.
Here it is.
I can almost vouch for the fact that is not how they say it.
Here it is.
Camino.
Yeah.
Road.
Road.
I dare you to go there and ask about the Camino.
Then please. Gerson. My name's Dave.
You're like cracking yourself up.
Yeah.
Road.
Camino. Isn't that lovely?
It is lovely.
So yes, so when they call it the lane or something? What's road names in England? Anyway, so it looks like we're making plans to go to England.
It looks like.
Yeah, so that's cool. So stick around for that. But meanwhile, we're going to talk about.
Well, I thought it would be appropriate for us to talk about while we're in England, one of your very favorite people in the whole world.
The poet,
Is it poet laureate?
Yeah, the wizard.
I don't even know what is laureate.
I don't
even know.
I'm already Googling
oh my God, I sound so dumb.
Motorways. They call them motorways in
It's
England.
just said motorway.
I don't think you did.
I'm pretty sure I did.
And we're not recording wink, wink, so who knows? There's no way to play it back. People don't rewind. Don't rewind. Don't prove me wrong.
I'm pretty sure I said motorway.
So yes, my favorite power, if a person could be a power animal, it's not Sir, he is Dr. Malcolm Guite. He's a poet, he's a motorcycle rider, he's a pipe smoker, and he's a well-read man who reads.
He's a pastor.
To us. He's also a pastor. Yeah, Malcolm Guite is a number of things, but I have a signed, autographed in my presence book from him. So pretty cool.
Yeah. So I thought this Malcolm Guite.
Yes.
I thought we would talk about the stalking of
Malcolm Guite.
Dr. Malcolm Guite. So
I'm on his Wikipedia. So it's an English poet, singer, song. That's the other thing. He's a musician.
Oh, yeah, singer,
he's got some
songwriter.
stuff on Spotify. It's pretty good.
He does.
Anglican priest and academic. Born in Nigeria to British expatriate parents, Guite earned degrees from Cambridge and Durham universities. His research interests include an intersection of religion and arts and the examination of the works J.R.R. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, and Owen Barfield, and British poets such as Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
So, how did you happen upon him? It had nothing to do with any of those things.
So I recently, if you've listened to some of our episodes about My Name is a Lie, I think is the episode is specific, where I was smoking a Kirsten pipe. There's a long story there. My wife's name is Kirsten, so we deducted that since it was a hand-me-down pipe from her grandfather, it said, Kirsten, do the math, y'all. Well, listen to the episode, My Name is Eli. It's months ago that we did.
It's hilarious.
But so I was learning how to smoke a pipe, and it's a tobacco pipe. It's not a DUB type pipe, not wacky tobacco, just straight up old-fashioned tobacco. And I was Googling and looking on YouTube to find, the best ways, best practices. And I found this guy in South Carolina that sounds like that, who is interviewing someone from England. This English person happened to be Malcolm Guite, who is a proficient and regular daily pipe smoker. And they had a really great conversation. It was very enjoyable.
Instantly were smitten.
I was like, this guy's awesome.
You just came in the house.
And everything he did, like
bubbling.
He had some really great spiritual stuff, really great stuff around, obviously The Hobbit. And he's, talking about the joy and the peacefulness of pipe smoking, which I was experiencing myself. I'm sitting up
and he's pretty prolific on his own YouTube channel.
Yes, he has a lot on
and
YouTube. So I listened to probably 5 hours in 2 days of his stuff.
You just really...
I was just like a giddy schoolgirl.
You were.
Yeah.
You were. You just really were like...
As luck would have it, hold
on.
I'm
Pause.
Way ahead of myself.
Pause.
Pausing.
Okay, so anyway,
insert cows for no reason.
You are consuming
copious amounts of YouTube videos.
Copious amounts of his YouTube channel, and you just every opportunity you would listen to him.
If I was in the other room not paying attention, I'm listening to Malcolm Guite.
Yeah, if you were mowing the lawn, you were listening to him. Yeah. You would listen to him as you went to sleep because he has a really calming voice. So
taking
you
a shower,
enjoyed
no judgments. Just
really.
Well, you listen to like Mind Pros or something while you're in the shower, right?
Mind Pump, yeah,
that type of stuff, or Dave Ramsey. So I'm listening to Malcolm Guite.
So yes. So anytime in the car,
for
whatever
a while
it
was a good month that I was just. What else?
Yeah.
What else does he have?
So
including the Green Man, an original song by him. On Spotify was actually quite good.
And so,
I can't play any of it because YouTube.
So this goes on for weeks, maybe even a couple of months. I want to say.
Yeah, dare say.
And you professed to me on more than one occasion that you were like, you know what? I found out that Malcolm Guite does speaking tours, and he gets invited to different places, and it was coming up on.
Well, no, it was
coming up on May, and he was talking about speaking at graduations or
no. This is how so. This was after the. Remember when we had.
I know.
My
I haven't
sister
gotten
and brother.
there
Yes,
yet.
okay, yeah, okay,
I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about the fact.
You're on track.
That you knew that he sometimes travels.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Because he posted from Baylor. He posted a video from Baylor right here in Texas.
What I was
and I was like, whoa, he was here in Texas. He was in Texas, y'all.
I was agreeing with you if you would just listen to me for a minute.
We
and
like in our trailer where we vehemently agree with each other.
Yes, vehemently. It's not vehemently.
Clearly we don't agree.
Vehemently.
We don't agree on that. I refuse to say that word correctly.
And so
I vehemently agree. God. Refuse.
So anyway, he discovers that Malcolm is
say vehemently
a fairly well-versed traveler, and that he gets invited.
Introducing Domino's New York style.
Oh, that's exactly how it's said.
It had to run the ad first, of course.
Thanks so much. Thank you very much. And so he says to me one evening when we're having dinner or something.
We are looking at how to pronounce this
Oh,
word
Lord.
in English, designating an action done in a forceful, passionate, or intense manner, aka with great feeling. How do you go about pronouncing it? Vehemently. You don't want to stress on the first syllable.
Okay, fine. Shit.
So
okay, Google.
Now that I'm correct, continue.
Go on with your story. There's probably a copyright infringement on that audio.
Probably. And so
I'll have to replace it with cows.
So anyway,
or edit it out. God
you tell me at some point if I ever get a chance to meet Malcolm Guite or go someplace where he's speaking.
I added it to my bucket list.
And you did. You added it to your bucket list.
Yep.
So do a very short fast forward. We are having dinner
With family members.
with your sister and brother, and we're sitting there just
We're talking about podcasts.
We are talking about our podcast. We're talking about podcasts we like to listen to, and Cowboy says,
No. My sister asked me. She's like, "What podcast do you listen
right,
to?"
and
I started
say-
rattling off a few.
Yes.
And included Malcolm Guite.
right, and she
And
says,
she said, "Whoa, he's speaking at our high school," because she's a counselor for a high school. She said he's speaking at our commencement of our high school next month. And I think my jaw just like, Did you see the reaction on my
like,
face when that
"Stop
happened?
chewing."
Did you see that? I stopped chewing. I'm just like, She's like, and
Like, what
I
a
can
small
get
world.
y'all free tickets to
yes,
come.
and she's like, you should come.
And I'm like, ha!
And so you were just...
I had a guys trip planned.
You did.
That same weekend.
You did. And you called your best friend and you were like,
I'm going to be late.
Dude.
I'm going to be late to the beach house.
I'm not coming.
I got somewhere to be.
When I'm when scheduled. I'm going to come.
I had to cut it a day short.
You
did. At the
did.
beginning. I arrived a day late because of it.
Yes, you did. And so we devised a way to get you there and back.
Oh, we had tickets.
Well, you were going to ride your motorcycle, and then we figured out a different way to do it.
Oh, I was going to ride my motorcycle.
We had to jump through some hoops to actually make that happen.
Yeah, because I had to go to Orange Beach, Alabama.
Right.
And I was going to need a full extra day to ride, 2 days to ride. Instead, I had to fly there Saturday morning.
Right.
So, yeah.
So we...
Travel plans had to be changed.
So we get all of the arrangements.
If you're listening, Malcolm Guite, I want you to appreciate the level of effort we went through.
If you're listening, Malcolm Guite, I want you to know that my husband
He's
loves
a
you.
super fan.
Yes.
Super duper.
You should just hear, I love you, I love you.
That's a bit extreme. He's a great man.
Yes, he was.
That's what I want him to hear.
He seems lovely.
He needs to live forever.
So, okay, so let's fast forward. After you stop, like, your brain implodes and you know, are able to form speech again.
Yep.
You were like, yes, of course I'm coming to the graduation ceremony. I can't believe it. And so fast forward to the day of the graduation ceremony. So it is scheduled on a Friday night, and you need to fly out the very next morning.
Saturday morning. Yeah.
And bright and early next morning.
Yippers.
And so we drive clear across town.
It's a good hour away from here.
It's about an hour or so away.
Yeah. In DFW
And-
traffic.
And we show up. Now, here's where things get interesting. So because your sister works at that school,
An administration counselor.
then she's going to be there earlier than the guests are allowed in, than
Right.
any of the
family and guests and graduates.
you know, any of that stuff, right? So we pull up and we pull up, you know, early. You like to be, you know, early.
Yep.
And
On time is late.
and so we get there and there is a line forming of all these grandparents,
And
parents,
I'm excited,
of graduates,
Swifties
whatnot.
get around Taylor Swift. I'm
Yes.
that excited.
Yeah, you're definitely that excited. So we're sitting in the car for a second and you immediately, it's hot outside.
Yeah.
By the time the graduation happens, it's like
And luckily,
late May, early June.
Yeah, and it's an
you know,
indoor
it's,
place.
It's an indoor
luckily.
place, but we have to stand outside and wait.
Yeah, because they didn't open the doors.
And you were immediately like, never mind, let's just sit here. Like, they're not going to let us in. You know, there's a line forming of these people.
I was hoping that I could see.
And of course, I am fussing at you, and I'm like, we got here. We changed all your plans just to be here. We're going to go stand outside the door.
Find your guts and let's go.
Let's go. So we walk up there, And it's not a particularly large venue, but there is a line forming to the right and to the left. Kind of, there's like a couple sets of doors.
Well, that's where the shade was.
Yeah. And
everybody's standing in the shade. Yeah.
And so we're standing there for a minute, and I realize that there's a little more, like a few less people on one side, kind of on the left side. Yeah. And so I'm like, let's go stand over there, so that we can be kind of like up front,
visible to
right?
whomever. Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know. You're like Eeyore. You were just like,
well, I was
just like, no, nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, I was trying to keep my hopes from getting.
And
up.
so I was like, just come over here. And so, we go stand over near the door. And luckily, your brother-in-law walks by.
Yep.
And then a few minutes later, your sister walks by.
Yep.
And at first, she just walks right past us, and she's like, "Oh, hi, guys." And she'd had to go out to the car or something for something, whatever it was. So it was like, "Oh, hi, guys." And then in the doors she goes. And so I think for a second there was like this kind of like, oh well. And then, I don't know, maybe 1 minute later, like it really wasn't that long, she pops her head back out the doors and she's like, "Hey guys, come inside. You don't have to wait out here."
I'm like,
and so we're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
and so
let's go.
And we go, and she's like, she's like, "Hey, I already got to meet Malcolm Guite. He was here early, like we're there at like, I don't know, we were there at like 4 or something ridiculous." Yeah,
well, I mean, the doors open at like 4:30 or something.
I think even later than that. Yeah. But like, but he was there because they were doing rehearsals. Yeah, they were doing all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So so she got to meet him. So she walks us in, and
I'm like, which hand did you shake hands with him?
Yeah,
let
right.
me see.
And so we've got
he's basically my Elvis.
She reserved a couple of seats for us, so she walks us to the seats. And so we're sitting there, and then he appears on the stage. Up front.
I'm like elbowing. Kiki, look who it is! Look at this! It's what I love about you is you're so excited for me.
I am.
Like you're advocating for me, and you don't 100%. See any of this as just a child. You see this as a
I thought it was great.
Yeah, you were right along with me.
You were just
you're
like
encouraging me, if anything.
Little rosy cheeks and stars in your eyes, and you just could not.
There he is. I see him.
Excitement. So he's practicing his speech. He's kind of getting familiar with the microphone. This, that, and the other.
And he walks back to the the booth where they put a microphone
walk him
on
back to the audio booth to get a microphone,
which is in the seating area.
So I am like elbowing you, and I'm like, "Go over there," and you're like, "He's." You're like, he's talking to people in the audio booth.
I feel like a kid at a 7th grade dance all of a sudden.
Interrupt, and I'm like, get over there. We drove all this way, and you delayed your plans and everything. Like, go over there.
I don't interrupt him. It's rude.
So you go everywhere with your cowboy hat. Well, that's not true. Not everywhere, but
I do wear my cowboy hat a lot.
Yeah. And so you're all decked out. You've got your boots on. You're dressed nicely, and you've got on your hat. And so you kind of nonchalantly wander a little bit sheepishly. Honestly,
very sheepishly.
Over to the audio booth.
I didn't know what to say. I'm literally holding.
And you're like, he's talking to people. I can't interrupt.
I'm holding one of his books because I want to get it signed, and I'm just nervous.
And I'm thinking, you just say, "I'm so sorry. Excuse me. I'm a huge fan. Can I get an autograph?" But no. He doesn't say any of that.
It's before the ceremony, and I know there's lots going on. And because I'm a audio video professional, I know that time is a very focused time,
right?
And it's so
he doesn't
for someone
want to bother
interrupting,
anybody.
and also this is my underlying thought at this time. I didn't want him to burst my bubble that he's one of those people that in his show and all that he's this wonderful man. And then I didn't want him, like if I approach him and he goes, if he just went, "Fuck off," or something like that, kind of like in The Hobbit where
Fair enough.
It's like suddenly, "My precious," kind of like I didn't want him to be like Bilbo when he goes crazy.
He's just like,
I was
there
worried,
are people
and
I
didn't want my bubble burst.
So
I was afraid to approach him at a time where he might be stressed.
Okay, so
but I did.
That's true.
I got to give myself credit. he walked by after they were miking him,
Yes.
and I just kind of tipped my hat and I
Yes,
said hi.
you did. You
I said
tipped your
hi,
hat in a very cowboy
and he
way.
looked at me and said hello and walked right by like that. And then I went back to Kiki.
I think actually he said nice hat.
I was like, he said hi to me.
He did.
I was like, he said hi.
And that was about you were
That was almost enough for me to make the trip.
You were bubbling over
Yeah.
at that point. Like I think you would have just melted into a puddle
Yeah,
in
I was
about
like, he said hi to me.
You did.
Yeah.
It was pretty much you said it just like that too. So we sit there, they start letting people in, and I am watching like a hawk wherever Malcolm goes. I was like, is there some way that I can, conveniently get you in his path? Like if he's going to walk down this whatever hallway or that. But now the place where they were doing it, the location they were doing it was a church. So they had some rooms back behind kind of the pulpit area.
Yeah.
And that's where they go send him. So it wasn't like he was off in the lobby space or any place where you could inadvertently bump into him.
Right.
And so, I'm just like, dang it, curses. And so we sit through the whole graduation, and it's lovely.
Yeah.
And
it's on YouTube, the whole graduation.
Yeah.
And he
Yep.
gave
he's
such a
gave a
great
great
speaker.
speech. Yeah, he did
very
give a great
entertaining,
speech.
just very natural, and he's so familiar with all the texts and his own poetry and stuff. And he wrote an original poem.
Yes.
Which I have the program
Yes.
with that poem. So he wrote for that graduation, which is pretty good. It was a sonnet, I believe.
Yeah, it was great. So he gives a lovely speech, and then at some point after his speech and before they start calling the graduates up, they whisk him off stage. And
my heart sank.
My heart is starting to sink, and
I am to get on a plane.
I am feeling super anxious because I'm like, oh my gosh,
that's it.
I think we've missed it.
Yeah.
Like I think that he's gone because you cannot see him at all.
Yeah.
And then they do the graduation. Now this is a very small graduation.
Like they have 50 students. Yeah.
50, maybe 100. I don't know.
Maybe 100. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Very small. But oh my gosh, it was wonderful. If you are if you're related to a graduate or a graduate, it was a great graduation. They personalized everything for every single individual.
Yeah.
They called them up. They talked about them. It was not just a call a name, walk across, shake hands, go sit down.
Yeah. No, they had individual stories for each one. Yeah.
Much more involved.
Which
was fantastic, unless
you're there for just the speaker.
You and I sitting there trying to keep eyes on Malcolm Guite, and I'm like, I think he's gone.
Maybe he's in the audience. Maybe
so I was like, I kept looking at
one
the
point
doors.
you sent me to the restroom. He's like,
So I
go to the
did.
restroom, and then maybe you can turn the wrong way.
Yes. So I said, okay, I'm like, go out the back
coming
doors.
with these ideas.
I did. I'm like, go out the back doors.
But accidentally turn the wrong way away from the bathroom.
Go like you're going to the bathroom.
You know where the stage is.
And flip around and go into the lobby area and just kind of hang out there for a minute because you might come across him. And what happened when you were hanging out in the lobby?
He came back into the main stage, didn't he?
No, that is not it at all. You do not remember what happened? You stayed out there for such a long time that the security officer, the police officer that they had hired to be security for the event, was starting to look you up and down.
That's right. Yeah, you
could tell.
He actually said something to me at one point.
Oh, did he? What, you didn't tell me that. What did he say to you?
No, he just asked me. He's like, "How you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I'm fine." I think he was just.
And
he was just curious.
You're
just a guy just
lingering,
looking about. Yeah,
and there's nobody out in the lobby.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are you
right
the
in the
only
middle of
person?
A very important ceremony. Yeah.
Like, why are you the only person hanging out here?
Yeah, I think I creeped him out.
So you finally come in. You were out there for a long time.
I took that as cue that I need to go back in.
And I was so hopeful because I was like, oh, he's out there and he's been out there for quite some time. I was like, surely you guys ran into each other and you're out there, and I'm just like, oh, he's just chatting and he's having a great time. And your sister is sitting right next to me, has whispered to me at some point, like, okay, so the plan was after he finished his speech, they were going to whisk him off and he was going to go get in a car or something. And of course the Roomba
the
goes
Roomba's
off.
just started.
Yes,
in another episode, you'll hear about our escapades with the Roomba.
Yes.
But she's going to keep telling you a story. I'm going to mute myself and get rid of that thing.
So anyway, like, we weren't sure if that was the part of the plan, was that like he was going to get whisked off. So anyway, you come back in after having been out in the lobby, and you just look so kind of, you whisper to me, but you're just kind of so forlorn, and you're like,
sad.
I didn't see him. You shook your head. You
I
were
was
like,
out there
it's not,
for a long time.
It's not happening. And we're still going. Like, we've only made it to, like, by this point,
we're like to the M's.
We're like in the M's or the S's or something. I don't know.
There's still plenty.
And so then I'm like, okay. I'm like, you need to go back out there.
Try again.
You got to go back out. Like, I don't know.
I'm like mentally exhausted by now,
like,
emotionally trashed.
You were just like,
you
were kind of in give up. You were just
I was just like, it's just not meant to be.
Never mind,
I just kind of like Edson got to
it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
And I keep nudging you, and I'm like,
the fact that I got to see him in the same room, I was like, that's good enough.
I'm like,
I'm resigned.
I'm like, go back out there. And so you kept saying, oh, I'll wait for a minute. Well, at that point, your sister whispers to me, and she goes, oh, you know, back behind the pulpit area, that's where he is right now. And every single graduate, as they walk off stage after their name is announced and they shake hands, they go back there with him, and he has something to say to each and every single graduate.
And I'm so jealous of these kids all of a sudden.
And so all of a sudden, like, hope renewed. I was
he's
like,
still here.
Oh my gosh, he's still in the building. Because I really thought he was gone.
That's awesome.
And so they finish every single kid's name, which was fantastic.
Wonderful.
Unless you don't know any of them at all. And it took such a long time. And they finish off the rest of the ceremony. Malcolm Guite comes back out on stage. And they close, graduate, all the stuff. The graduates,
they're already out of the
room. Out of the room.
We can hear them chanting and cheering at a distance.
And they're having a great time. And the family members, or the audience are now kind of released. Okay. I am keeping my eye squarely
like a hawk
on Malcolm Guite, and he's still on stage. Now, we are on the far left of the auditorium.
Opposite side.
And we're back several...
Yeah, we're 10 or 15 rows back.
Oh, more than that, probably, right?
We're not quite to where it starts rising up.
Yeah, we're
still on the floor.
The floor, as it were, but we're towards the very back of the floor area.
Easy, yeah.
And so I'm immediately like trying to assess, okay, all these people are exiting the auditorium. How do we get you
trying to figure out the traffic flow
up to the stage as quickly as possible?
Without being weird.
We go the opposite direction. We go even further to the left, almost like we're going to exit.
To the left.
Yeah. And then we kind of run down the aisle towards the front.
And now I can see that he's walking slowly with his
he's walking
handler
the
away.
Other direction, away, right?
Away,
and so I'm immediately like, run like the wind. Like, I'll catch up to you in a minute. Like, don't wait on me.
She releases me like I'm what is that whale movie? Just be free.
Yeah, Free Willy.
Yeah, free. Just go, be free. She's like, just go.
Yes, and so, You
and I
you
I was
kind of like
this is it.
zigzag through all
Yep,
of the
this
chairs
is my one
and
chance.
the seats, as it were.
Knocking kids over.
Oh my gosh!
Not
It was
re-
like
not
George
quite.
Costanza trying
Yeah.
to get out of the when
Yeah.
there's a fire and
Yeah.
he's like pushing everybody out of
Yeah,
the way,
it
and he's like,
wasn't-
"Get
yeah.
out of the way!
But
Get out of the way!"
I was dead set on.
You were dead set.
because he was slowly making his way to the opposite side of the stage where I could see there were
And
steps down
yes,
or the other way.
and he was going to disappear potentially to that back room, and then we'd lose him
Forever.
altogether.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there just kind of like holding my breath,
Yeah.
and I'm just like,
Yeah, at this point,
all
the
tense.
apprehension switched.
Yes,
now
and
you were tense, and I was
I'm all
like,
tense,
and I was
I'm
focused.
just, I
Yeah.
am just like, please, 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 let him be able to
Let
say,
my husband be happy.
like, let him talk to him.
Which I love about you,
And,
because you're so supportive. And
and you did.
I did. I caught up with him,
You caught up with him,
and he was talking to
and
one of
he
the
had
administrators.
he had kind of a bodyguard.
Yeah, well, he had a handler with
Not
him.
really, but
yeah.
he had a handler
Yeah, but
with
it was
him.
it was I think
It
it
was
was
another
it was a local priest, local
priest
clergy.
or
Yeah, was
clergy,
with
somebody.
him.
Yeah.
But here's the coolest part is he was talking to an administrator. I think that the dean of the school, and
you're like, but me.
But no, they were just talking.
you
I was
weren't
standing
at
there.
all.
I didn't say anything. I was just kind of looking at him.
But
And-
you
and-
have this look on your face
like-
of like this
and-
little kid like waiting
and
for
I'm down
like,
the steps a few steps.
Yeah.
You know, he's not a tall man, and I'm a little taller than him, but I'm a few steps down, so I'm just there, and I just I'm kind of waving, and then he pauses when he's talking to this person and looks at me, and I said, "I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but." Dr. Guite, I'm a huge fan, and he lit right up. He's like, a fan like that, and this guy in a cowboy hat like that. It was cool, and
so just so you have a picture in your head, he looks a little bit like Santa
if Santa Claus was a hobbit,
and a hobbit,
yeah,
like mixed together.
That's pretty good description.
Like and a little
White
Harry
hair, beard.
Potter-esque,
Yeah.
Hobbit,
Yeah, like what is it?
He has a beard.
It's like Dumbledore,
a little
Santa Claus, and
if
a
you
Hobbit.
shrunk him down a little bit. Yes, he's not tall and
he
imposing.
Was instantly welcoming and delighted. And I just told him real quick, it's like, hey, I've watched your YouTube stuff. I really enjoy the things. And it's funny because his handler was like, oh, cool. He has a fan. Like it was like a very welcome moment. And I just mentioned as like I really enjoy this thing, and I just gave him a few compliments. And I mentioned I also ride a motorcycle, and then he asked me questions. He's like, "Ooh, what kind of motorcycle do you ride?" And like that, and just we shared a moment. And then I said, "Hey, I'd have one of your books of poetry. Would you mind?" And he's like, "Of course not." And quickly, I think he produced a pen. I think I had one, but he came up with one. And then he says, "So your name is?" And so it says to Buddy, my best or whatever, Malcolm Guite, like that, and. It's this, and we exchanged a few other words. It was just like, hey, safe travels. I really enjoy. I told him about he does this thing on his videos where the camera person, turns out it's his wife, and he even told me that. He was like, yeah, during the pandemic, it was just me and my wife, so she would knock on the door, and he would say, come in, and then you're welcome into us. And I said, that's a really great thing. He has a
very unique way of
style of delivery and opening his stuff.
delivery at the beginning of each of his YouTubes.
Clever,
and
but it's welcoming.
But it's very approachable, very welcoming.
Yeah, you feel like you're having conversations.
Because he'll say stuff like, "Oh, it's you again.
Yeah.
Well, it's so good to see you.
Since your last visit.
Since your last visit, let's talk about blah blah blah."
Yeah, very clever, and he's the type of person you would want to have grown up with him reading your bedtime stories to you.
Yes.
But anyway, long story short, very pleasant, very welcoming. And I said, I thanked him for his time and wished him safe travels, and then I don't know if you saw my face or whatever, but I could tell once my eyes, once our eyes met with Kiki, I could tell she was happy because I was happy, and our mission was not a failure, And now I'm just like I've seen like one of my heroes, my adult heroes, and the fact that again that Kiki was so supportive that. That's the thing is this.
I was
trivial.
so supportive. I was pushy.
No,
I was like on the.
But to anyone else, I've got the hiccups.
You have the hiccups again. Listening to you drink is a great podcast.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'll put some cow noises in there or something. But long story short is like the fact that you don't see the things that are important to me as trivial or unimportant is actually one of the healthiest things in our marriage. I do silly things and I have silly interests and
well, so what?
Yeah, and you seem to support that and love that. And
of course,
it helps me be me.
I don't have to love the same things that you loved.
No.
love that you love them.
Yes, and that's
right.
and that
Like
is-
if they bring you joy, then why do I have any issue with what it is? I mean,
and
you know,
loving me like that makes me feel safe and happy, and I love being your cowboy, and I love you being my Kiki.
well, that's sweet.
Yeah. And I do hope that we get to see him
You
again.
just had
And
this smile on your face. You still do right now, even as you're talking about it. You're
Yeah.
like, it's almost like you're back there again.
because
but
I think the part of it, like I said, I was worried about him not being genuine.
I think
article.
you just-
and he was
you were
absolutely the same person that he comes
Yes.
through in his videos. He was the
He
same
was.
welcoming.
he was
friendly.
very gracious.
Yeah, just happy to
Very
meet me.
humble.
Yeah.
Does not have, because it's easy. I mean, he's got a pretty significant following of people. I mean,
Yes.
they pay for him to fly in and do,
all this way.
speeches and
Yeah.
all this stuff, right? So, like, it would be very easy for
Him to be
any
dismissive,
human being
Yeah.
to kind of
to develop some type of ego.
drink their own Kool-Aid
Yep.
and start getting an ego.
Yep.
And
And
he
none
does
of
not
that.
appear to be that way at all.
None whatsoever.
There is
Yeah.
there is a lot of modesty about that man.
Yep.
He was very humble, very gracious, and
Yep. And kind.
and so we left with you just floating on cloud nine all the way to your visit with your
And I
your
even
friend
shared
the
the
next
details
morning
of my visit
and,
with my friends, and they
Yes.
understood now why I had to delay the trip, because this was an important
yeah,
thing for
and
me.
it was crazy
It
that
was
it would be
pretty
the same
fabulous.
weekend, and I still cannot believe the odds that we would be randomly having dinner, because it just happened to be like it was an impromptu
Yeah,
dinner.
my brother
it was,
was coming
not
in
anything,
from California, and he's like, "Hey, we should get together."
Yeah,
Okay,
let's
cool.
just get
Yeah.
together. Sure, yeah. It could have been any weekend that we didn't,
Yep.
and the fact that Malcolm Guite was not the topic of
Not
conversation.
even- yeah.
It was,
Just-
what are some podcasts that you're enjoying?
And I just happened to mention
just
that name.
happened to mention it, like, this is one that I'm really into. You
Yeah.
wouldn't. I just the number of coincidences and the fact
Yeah.
that he was speaking.
Make it so it's not a
That's
coincidence
so
anymore.
crazy.
Yeah.
That was so crazy. That was definitely
a meant to be thing.
Yeah, it was for sure. So it was a lot of fun. After, I particularly enjoyed haranguing you and being terribly bossy.
An advocate. I'll call you an advocate
was.
for mine.
I was very
for
pushy
what
advocate.
was best for me. Yes, and I enjoyed that.
Yes.
So,
But
yeah,
I did keep elbowing you through the entire ceremony. I kept scheming and coming up
Yep.
with plans for, okay, now what happens if, like,
Yep.
fake a heart attack
Yep.
and then
near him, and he'll probably know CPR, and then it gets weird. So yeah, we don't want any of that. But no, it was very pleasant. So I encourage all of you, our
stalk all of your
yeah.
favorite
Yeah,
celebrities
stalk-
too.
because you can get them to. Well, and that's the thing is, it's funny in my history, I'm not really starstruck. I've been like literally right next to people like Deion Sanders and
Well,
some
because of your
but-
audio-visual
Yeah,
experience and camera work
yeah.
and
I've run
video
in-
production, you
yeah, been
Yeah.
around people that of pretty like Zig Ziglar and this stuff
Yeah.
like that. I've been right next to these people. Like I was
Yeah.
literally in a lunch line with Zig Ziglar, and he's right next to me. And it was funny. That anecdote is the lady, the lunch lady, whatever. It was all billed under the Zig Ziglar show, and she asked me and Zig Ziglar is like, she said, "Are y'all with the Zig Ziglar show?" And Zig Ziglar goes, "Well, yes, we are." It's funny. He's literally Zig Ziglar. She's like, "Are y'all with the?" Because it was being billed. How many people were
Sure.
being on that bill for that?
sure. So
that-
she clearly didn't
Had
recognize
no
him
idea
at all.
who he
Who he
was.
was.
But it's pretty funny. But so I don't get starstruck. But this person actually means something to me. So
It does.
So it's funny when I say I don't get struck. Clearly I do for the right star.
Yeah, sure you do.
So it's neat.
It's
And,
very sweet.
Yeah, so cool. So that's our episode. We basically our stalker episode, if you will.
Yes.
And we are planning a trip to England, and maybe there's
There's hope.
a chance we'll see this fella again.
Malcolm Guite, we're coming for
but
you.
we're coming for you, coming across the pond. Now we're coming to your home turf. So we'll see. We'll still be wearing.
I wonder, like, how long you have to stalk somebody before it really
before it
is.
gets weird. Yeah. Well, I mean, think about people who are like Beatles fans, so they just wanting to go see them, Well, I guess see them in their home is pretty creepy.
Okay, maybe we won't cross that line.
Not quite, but we'll see. Anyway, cool. Good show. Kiki, take us out.
This is Kiki.
I've never fed her that line before. I was curious what you were doing.
No, this is the misadventures
with
Kiki
and Cowboy. Thank you for joining us.
Kiki.
And Cowboy. Bye.
Bye, Malcolm Guite. We love you.
Bye. We love you so much.
Ka-chow!